Hello, my name is Raymond Karczewski, and I am a living Christ. I should like to talk to you about the second coming of Christ consciousness. We have been living in the consciousness that is satanic, ruled by the intellect. Mankind has been unbalanced since the beginning of time because he does not understand who and what he is. You all think that you are what may be called persons today. You've been trained to think that way by the institutions that have been created by muddled men, men who have been hypnotized, have been satanically conditioned in their dualistic intellects. We have two minds. Of that there can be no debate, no discussion of dissension, no argument. We have the subconscious mind, which is holistic, non-dualistic in nature. It is the mind of what is holistic, one. It is the mind of creation. It is the mind of action. You understand? The mind, of course, is the dualistic, intellectual, satanically ruled, occupied, divisive mind. The mind that is educatable, conditioned, disformed, based on ideas, based in illusions, concepts, beliefs. You see, they're all fantasies. The world that we live in is one of fantasy. It's based in birth, life, and death. The beginning, the what is, and the end. That which is temporary, and there can be no question, no argument that living the life that we live is of that nature. Birth, life, and death. Temporary. Therefore it is an illusion. For in one's subconscious mind there is only what is, the moment of eternal life, the what is, the God. You, me, all that is. The animals, the many, many diverse animals, kingdoms, nature, plants, the sea, the mountains. These are all based in the consciousness of what is, based in recognition of what is. And there can be no doubt that that is what is when perceived by the subconscious mind. based on energy, forms of energy, seen and unseen. You understand? All that is seen is just a partial sliver of consciousness that each and every one of you, and it doesn't matter what you think of yourself, whether you are born in poverty or born in richness, wealth. Those are merely ideas that you hold about yourself. And because you hold those ideas, you manifest them in your life. And you give reasons for them. Ideas, words. It's all a fictitious world that you're creating for yourself when you begin to speak. Words, definitions. You enter into the world of power, prestige, celebrity, fame, fortune. It's all divisive, illusion. You can have it one day and lose it the next. One moment, lose it the next. Richness, wealth, and lose it the next. That's the nature of the civilized world. It's the world of division, the world of hell. And it separates men through their concepts, through their beliefs, and creates a world of competition, a world of divisive-based consciousness, one eternal conflict, all striving. Striving for what? You are born, the rich are born, the poor are born. They come. At that point, they are what is. And the forces of fantasy carry them off and create the environment that that child is raised in. You're all equal at birth, except for the baggage that you bring in from your former fantasy life, called reincarnation, because you are eternal. You are the God in your consciousness, your subconscious mind. You are the God of your quality of life. And what you are at the beginning of life is certainly not what you are at the end of life, after many, many experiences. What you have made of yourself is the sum total of consciousness by your experiences, by your attitude toward those experiences. You were born poor, and you remain poor. It is because you have chosen that way for yourself. If you are ambitious, if you desire power, that's the satanic, dualistic intellect working on you. The sum total of your experiences lead you to desire a life of power, of wealth, of recognition. And so you act toward those goals. And you call that success. But is it? What does it bring you, holistically? It brings you to another station in life. You may have gained some power, you may have gained some wealth, but who are you at that time? And what is your purpose? You see, that is the question that remains with you from birth to death to all who enter the kingdom of balance between the subconscious mind, the mind of God, and the conscious intellect, the mind of Satan. And there was a battle, a daily battle with those two forces within you. It's called duality. It's called struggling. It's called learning painfully your lessons to bring you to a balance. The ideal life is a balance between the subconscious mind and the conscious intellect. When you meet such a balanced mind, you are met with kindness, you are met with empathy, you are met with love, non-competitiveness, you are met with cooperation. Understand? Look at your life. Is it competitive? If it is, you're satanic. You're dualistic. You're striving. You make rules, but you don't follow them. You understand? And rules are what causes the stress and tension within you. True balance brings no rules. You are what is. The totality of what is. Whether you live in poverty or whether you live in wealth beyond your imagination. You're not in conflict. That is the kingdom of heaven. That is the second coming of Christ consciousness. And that is what this living Christ, this simple man that you see, look behind him. I live in an RV, an old bus. All my needs are met. I have no need to strive. I have no need for power. My life has been a blessing. Yet I have been face to face with evil, power, obstructiveness by governments, by religions. And I have remained balanced. As a child, I became in conflict with everyone who was of my background, my family, staunch believers in Catholicism. And yet, at a very early age, I knew that that was a fiction. The citizenship was a fiction. But I was incapable of dealing with it. But as I grew into a young man, that never left me, and I found myself in contradiction with that way of life. And I maintained that balance. Oh, I faced a great deal of stress, of violence, and I faced it. I dealt with it, and I grew by it. I had a wonderful wife for 49 years. Could not have asked for a better woman. Was I fortunate? Or was it the balance within that drew that kind of woman to me? We had a life full of problems. We dealt with them, as you deal with yours. No question about that. It is the quality of how you deal with your problems. Because your problems are merely your inability to understand holistically the circumstances that you find yourself in at any given moment. Because you project your own thoughts. And you expect that unfolding moment to match your thoughts, and they don't. They don't quite match up, do they? And they leave you in an atmosphere of stress, of conflict, contradiction. What do you do about it? Do you meet them? Do you deal with them? Or do you escape from them through alcoholism, through drug use, through anything that will alter your consciousness in order to make you feel better than you do? Because life to you is hell, and it's designed that way. Yes, I said it's designed that way. You're here in hell because you have created it for yourself, through your actions, through your imbalance of your subconscious mind and your conscious intellect that has been formed, taught by other people, given rules that you must follow and obey, and if not, you are punished. So you fall into the habit, the ego habit. Ego is nothing more than habits that serve you, whatever your purpose is that you project into life. You create that life. You don't understand how you get that way. You do that because it's the subconscious mind operating, and you're not aware of it. You lack awareness, though you have a great deal of knowledge that is based in belief and repetition, which is nothing more than habit. You understand? You're habitual, responding robots. You even have a name for it. It's called person. And that person, that word person, is projected onto you by a satanic government, a specter, an institution composed of people who are trapped in hell in the power of their imaginations and see themselves as leaders. They look at you as cattle, chattel, property to be used and abused. They use you and your energy, and they create that energy into the symbol of money, and they crave the power that is given to money, to wealth. And you believe that lie to be the headstone, the cornerstone of your life. You strive to accumulate it. And if you can't accumulate it, you rob those who do accumulate it. And what is robbery? When one takes the property of another, it is the rebalancing of the imbalance of the wealthy and the poor. That's how the poor perceive it. They are deprived of that which is seemingly given over to the other in abundance. and they merely relieve the other of that abundance, and they add it to themselves. But it too is a crime, because they do not feel that they are balanced by it. It's just a habit. Crime is a habit of the indolent, the lazy, the confused, trying to expedite their transition from poor to an atmosphere of overabundance. But both are unbalanced in themselves. Very few people find balance in their lives. But it is that balance that will create peace on earth. Because when you have everything that you need for survival and for comfort, what more do you need? The more that you need is satanic greed. And that's how this world that you're living in now operates. You have families that hold the vast majority of wealth gained through a lifetime of deception, manipulation, and tyrannical behaviors that are acceptable socially given to the wealthy. But they're unbalanced. They have the same problems that you have, that poverty, only they are besieged with the greed of gaining more and more power. How much power do they need? How much power will give them the ability to be satiated? Do you understand? You hear names like Rothschilds, like Rockefellers, like DuPont. Oh, there are many, many names. But do you understand? All they have is money. A symbol, a fiction. What they do is they have your energy. Millions of you are bound to create that energy, which is converted into money. And then that money is stripped away from you by words, by laws, by satanic dictum. Do you understand? And where does it go? It goes to the families that rule this world. The public debt runs in the trillions. It's an illusion. It's just based on words, ideas. It's a fantasy world. You understand? That fantasy world can be brought to balance merely by defaulting on what's called the national debt. Who do you owe the national debt to? And are they deserving? Or have they received it by deception, by conniving, by organizing and funding satanic forces of media, of government, of religions, of banks, of corporations? Are they not the source that divide men, that pit nation against nation, that are ruled by leaders? And those leaders seemingly have a brotherhood. They transcend the warring separations, divisions of nations that they represent. You understand? The president, kings, queens, officials, leaders of foreign nations, they make decisions for the vast, vast majority who supply the energy, the wealth, the money, and they manipulate it. And they make agreements, and they break agreements, which leads to wars, which leads to pillaging, invasions of countries for their assets, for their oil, their gold, their silver, the elements that allow their corporations to create a kind of life, a life based in thoughts, based in struggle, based in division, a life that is not real, illusion. That's the kind of world that you're living in. That's the kind of world that each and every one of you, as you listen to this living Christ, this balanced, simple man with truth. You understand? Truth. Truth is heaven on earth. Illusion is satanic. And you, who call yourself intellectuals, no, I'm speaking of the highest of you intellectuals, the scientists, the professors, the creators of man's intellectual law, lawyers, judges, you're all Satanists. All of you, each and every one of you. But that's the world that you are allowed to operate in. You have a problem with truth, though you're not in the least in fear of truth, if that truth is nothing more than the idea of truth. Well, that's your bailiwick. That's your deception. All ideas of that which is are counterfeit. And it's very difficult for those who are raised in a counterfeit life to understand what truth really is. For that intellect must be transcended, and one must enter into the land of infiniteness, of silence, of meditation, to be able to discern the energy of what is truth, to discern what love is truth. Understand? That's the Christ state of consciousness. That is what I bring you. Now, I use the word I. You hear that, but you interpret it by giving it different definitions. You give it dead definitions. That's the nature of hell. Your definitions don't match another's definitions, and you argue, you debate, you go to war, because you're divisive, you're striving, you're competing. That's all you know. Your whole life is based in that. You turn on the TV sets, and what do you hear? You hear media. And what is media doing? It's programming you to that fictional world. It's telling you of the wars going on somewhere in the world where killing is taking place. And it cuts you through to your feelings. It creates fear in you. But you're not in danger. The wars are going on elsewhere. You're merely watching the television set or listening to the radio. And you're letting some unbalanced intellectual affect you. And so you recoil in fear, and you look for others who will suffer with you your fear. And you create groups, you create countries. Understand? But they're not whole. They're not truth. And you find yourself being thrust into a war, being thrust into poverty by someone else who is making rules for your life. You're responsible for your life, no one else. But when you relinquish that responsibility to others, you're nothing more than a kept property, chattel, cattle, goyim. Understand? Goyim. What does that mean? It means that you're no longer a human being. You're less than a human being. You're cattle. Now, who would think that way? Answer the question for yourself. Do you think that way? If you do, then you got a problem. But if you don't think that way, why does it bring fear up in you? You understand? You either have the courage to stand up and say, that's wrong. That child is a living child, a human being, and he has the right to be in balance with everyone. You have the rights of all men to life, liberty, and fundamental happiness, property. Understand? That's heaven on earth. That is the Christ state of consciousness. And it requires the dissolution of all illusion, of the ideas that have been conditioned into you as to wealth. You're all wealthy. You're all equal. Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and the John Does. You're all equal. You just think differently. It's time that imbalanced intellectual approach toward life be dissolved. And it can be dissolved easily because it is an illusion. And you must hold on to that illusion to make it real. And hold on to it you will. Well, I am a living Christ. I have let go of that challenge to maintain divisiveness, to acquire, to achieve, ambition. Those are all illusions. Do away with them, and what happens? What is? What is the truth. And you find that you have transformed your life, but your life only. Understand? Now you must face all the others where they are, accept them where they are, and deal with them where they are, in balance. If you can do that, they will change by noticing the energy of competitiveness, of non-acquisition. That's new. They won't understand that at first. They'll react to it, but treat them equally as men and women that they are, despite their disability of consciousness. And love, which is the equalization of energy, the bringing to oneness, when heretofore there was only division, only arguments, fear, competitiveness, tyranny. Understand? All that will dissolve when you understand who you are. And who are you? You are the subconscious mind and the conscious satanic intellect. And your function is to bring them into balance, to neither be one nor the other, but a balance of both. And when you do that, there is no pain, there is no division, there is no harm. There is only what is, and that is one, and you are it. That is the I am that I am, that few have truly understood in their life. That is the second coming of Christ consciousness, and it will dissolve the satanic new world order. Are you up for it? Let's find out, shall we? You're being threatened with a financial collapse. It's all an illusion. You are the source of all the wealth on the earth. Your money is nothing more than your energy that you have expended by working. You understand? Change your relationship with your employer so that there are no deductions going to government, which takes your money before you get it. Unfund government and see how powerful that institution is. You are the real power because you are the source of its fuel, money. And without that money, government dissolves. Then you can create in your balance of the subconscious mind and the conscious mind, you can create anything you wish in this world. And for most of you, I would say that which most of you wish for is heaven on earth, balance, love, cooperation, lack of harm, lack of competition. You can have that. Drop all the habits that you have been conditioned to have by the satanic forces which have ruled over you a lifetime. That's all that I am saying. I'm not suggesting it. I'm saying it. I have done it. And you say, well, now you're bragging. Am I? Check my website. Check my videos, my articles for the past 25 years, and observe how this man has faced this world. It still stands. While the satanic forces recoil in anonymity. I back them all down because they're illusions. I'm real. I'm truth. I am a man of truth. I am not the illusion of truth. I am the real thing. And so are you. What I have done, each and every one of you are capable of doing. All you have to do is not doubt yourself, which is what you've done for a lifetime. It is your doubt that has driven you into poverty and kept you there. I was born to a poor family. I had to leave that family because it would not change, but I was changing. I have spent some 50 years apart from my family, and they still have not changed. And they don't understand me either. Understand? But I live a life of peace. of equality. And I now live alone. There isn't one single, solitary person, individual, man, I should say, or woman, since my wife. And she didn't really understand me, but she had absolute faith, which is the carrot that is dangled before most of you, faith. She could not overcome that, but she found her security in this man, because I stood and stood alone against all satanic forces. It was not comfortable for her. It killed her, as a matter of fact. The satanic policies killed my wife for 49 years, and they expect to get away with it. You understand? As long as this 82-year-old man still has a breath left in him, they shall be held accountable. And hell will not save them. What I have done, and it can be checked on by my website, arkenterprises.com, and lisarayenterprises.com, and my many videos, my hundreds and hundreds of. That's the gospel, not of Jesus Christ, because he's dead, but that's the gospel of Raymond Karchevsky, very much alive, very much the Christ, very much the man of peace, of honor, of truth. Go ahead, give it a try.